What up, y'all, man? Hope y'all are having a great Wednesday night, man. Y'all know what time it is. Time for the truth with Najeh Wilkins, man. Yes, I am in my car. I am at the game. I'm gonna be going to the Georgia Tech versus Virginia game. I know what y'all gonna say, man. Georgia Tech's not a good. Why you still going to games? Hey, man, it's all about being in the media, member, being credentialed, and all that good stuff, man. And continue to show support. Some seasons are better than others. It's one of those rough years for Georgia Tech, man. So I'm trying to keep my credential and staying good with the communications department and continue to cover all things Georgia Tech for college, obviously, athletics. But we're going to keep this show nice, short, and simple, man. Obviously, you guys will see my face for a lot of it. But we'll be talking about just a couple little topics here before we wrap up, before we go into the game, man. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right. So I want to tell y'all. So we're going to be talking about John Sumrall, okay? So he's the new head coach for the Florida Gators, right? This is what he had to say on the NIL era and how it's changed expectations of players. He says, if a guy wants to act some sort of way about having to do something, tough. I'm like, dude, you make money. Shut up, bro. You're getting paid. Put the work in. Don't tell me this is too hard. And he's 100% right. It's the same thing when you look at NFL. It's like, bro, we're not going to sugarcoat you anymore, right? We're paying you money. We're paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars for most of these players. For the great players, you're getting paid millions of dollars. And you have a standard to uphold. All right? There's no laziness. There's no, oh, this is too hard. There's no, oh, I'm going to quit. I'm going to cry to my mom. Like, no, there's none of that. We're paying you too much damn money. You have something to uphold and you have things to do. So, first off, I love this, obviously, approach. And I love the approach that John Sumrall has had all summer, right? Or had all offseason, I should say. He already came in. He told the boys, okay, look, you got to earn the Florida logo. All right. It's not going to be given to you. This is earned. You got to show us why you deserve to be a Florida Gator. Right. So, first off, I love that approach. Numero dos. Next for him, I also like that he has this with his players. Because, like I said, we're paying you all this damn money. You got to produce. You know what I'm saying? And the players don't understand that. Like, yes, the money is good. Take care of your family as you're supposed to. But if you don't uphold the standard and you don't play at a high level, right? You're gone the next year. We're going to find your replacement, whether that's off the FCS level, whether that's off NAIA, D3, D2, it does not matter. We're going to find your replacement, and you're going to be gone if you don't perform, if you don't show up to meetings on time. And you've seen already what Coach Prime is doing. Coach Prime has already shown, hey, look, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be fine if you're late to meetings, if you don't do this, you don't do A, B, C, D. And I love that. You have to hold these players accountable for their actions and for what they do. And if you don't, you're going to have a team that has no accountability. They're going to blame each other for everything instead of stepping up, being a man and saying this is what it is for what it's worth. So I love this approach by John Sumrall, man. I think he's doing the right thing. I think he's only setting his players up for success when they're obviously on the gridiron and obviously off the gridiron as well, because NFL's going to be no different. A lot of these players aspire to be that. That's really where you make generational wealth. You come in, you keep being late to meetings, you're going to get cut. And NFL doesn't have guarantees like other professional leagues like NBA and, obviously, baseball, MLB. It don't have guarantees. So I think he's setting the right approach. And like I said, I think he's doing the right things with this Florida group early. And this is how you obviously make a big difference. And he's 100% right. Like I said, you make money, shut up, do the work, period. You don't want to do the work, you're gone. Love the approach by John Sumrall, man. So look, we're gonna leave that there. We're gonna get to our next topic, man. Y'all gotta listen to this by Sacramento State. It's insane what they did. I respect it. They're trying to build the brand, build the program, build the institution. I get it. But this deal to get into the MAC conference we've been talking about on the channel is crazy. Y'all listen to this. It says the Hornets via CFB Kings, the Hornets are paying $18 million to the MAC to join the conference, $5 million to the NCAA to join the FBS, an estimated $2 million to $4 million on air travel for visiting MAC opponents over the next 5 years. So any team that travels over there, Toledo, any team you can think of that travels over to Sacramento State, to California, they're paying $2 to $4 million in air travel. All right. Next, over the next 5 years, right? And won't take any conference money during that span. It'll be interesting to see if this works out and if Sac State will survive the FBS level with the current arrangement. So imagine that. You're paid $18 million to get into this conference. You have to cover the air travel for all of your opponents for the next 5 years, and you get none of the cut. So basically, any money they make, right, they have to make it on their own. You're not getting any of the cut that the MAC makes, or if you go to a conference champ, like, you're not getting none of that. You're going to have to earn all of your money, right? So, yes, it does create great intrigue. It does create fans obviously wanting to sign up. It does create the ability for players wanting to stay home and not have to go all the way across, the country, or having to go to a big time school. They can stay home and still play FBS football. That is a plus. But to what degree, right? It's almost like you're getting screwed over by the MAC to a degree. You're paying that much money. You don't get none of the cut. I think if I'm them, obviously you want to be in this conference. I want to at least get some kind of cut from it. You know what I'm saying? I want to get something. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's just a little tad bit, give me 2%, give me 1%, give me whatever it is. I need something. You know what I'm saying? And I know they're unproven. I know they're just moving to this transitioning over. I get it, but at the same time, we gotta leave here with something. That's a lot, man. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if Sac State's going to survive. Obviously, they're getting a lot of institutional backing. When I say institutional backing, they're getting a lot, obviously, from investors, Shaq. Everybody else is investing into this program, which are great things. But is it enough to keep their head afloat? Is it enough to keep their head above water? That remains to be seen, man. So Sac State in a tough position, tough spot. Hopefully, it works out for them. But yeah, man, they're going to have to bring in a lot of revenue from other sources, obviously, team merch. You know what I'm saying? Selling different things for the players for NIL. People getting into the building to watch, obviously, all of the home games when they play some of these opponents. And they don't get the fair end of the stick because a lot of these games that they're going to play, even if it's on national TV or ESPN, they're not getting the cut of it. And you might play on Tuesday night. How many people are watching ESPN on Tuesday night to watch obviously FBS game? They want to see it on Saturday. So it kind of does. They really did get the short end of the stick, but we'll see if they're able to obviously survive it. So unfortunate, obviously, news there. All right, keeping it going. I want to talk about Craig Dandridge. I did a video on this. I didn't post it on my YouTube, so we'll talk about it here. But basically, there was a post from Dog Recruiting that talked about James Coley, the Georgia wide receiver coach, who talked about, obviously, Craig Dandridge. Basically, this is what he said. He said, write his name down, Craig Dandridge, on, obviously, how the freshman wide receiver became a priority, right, during the recruiting process. He says, that tells you everything. So basically, what it says is, during the recruiting process, he pushed him pretty hard because he feels like he's going to be a key contributor. Now, Georgia's going to look a little different this year in terms of the wide receiver core, right? They're going to lose some pieces, bring some pieces in. No more Zachariah Branch. You know, they lose, obviously, their other receiver. But they got a lot of young talent there, right? C.J. Wiley, Taylor, several guys that could play at a high level, obviously, and do different things, right? So the key for Craig Dandridge is, I think, just not getting frustrated early on, right? Continue to put in the work. You may not see the field a lot year one, but you could be in a prime position for year two. And I talked about my video. I think he could be the next great Georgia receiver, right? I think you could put him on par with an AJ Green, with a George Pickens, who've balled out at Georgia and went off and they're doing big things in, obviously, the NFL world. I think he has that potential. You look at his strength, his physicality, his athleticism, his high points to football, how much he's just grown as a receiver. I think he has that kind of potential, and he's a big body. He's not no small little dude. And I think he takes his work ethic is second to none. And when you have that, that obviously makes it potent. Now, look, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy, as I said in my video. I'm not saying he's gonna start day one. I'm not saying he's gonna dominate day one. But this is a guy I think that has that work ethic coming from not being really known in high school, blowing up at the end of your junior year, going into your senior season. So he knows what it's like to grind and get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? He's used to this. He's done this. So I think if you're a Georgia fan, you should be excited. And a guy that doesn't necessarily need the spotlight, doesn't necessarily need all the attention, right? He likes to get out the mud and show what he can do in a quiet kind of a way. That's who Craig Dandridge is, man. So I think if you're a Georgia fan, you should be excited. I can't wait to see what he does freshman year. And the good thing with Georgia Bulldogs is usually you get to see the field early on in your career, right? You're playing at a high level, you're doing what you're supposed to do in practice, they will let you see the field. We've seen it last year. Elijah Griffin, Zayden Walker, Rashawn Dinkins, what's that linebacker's name? The linebacker they got from Texas. Like, these guys are seeing the field early in they obviously collegiate careers, right? KJ Bolden was another one when he first came in. They will let you see the field early. You just got to be ready and prepared. If you ain't ready and prepared, you're not seeing the field. But Glenn Schumann, Kirby Smart, they do that. You can see the field early on and often, just in general. So keep your eyes out for that. But that's my ride and buzzing star. Nobody's talking about true freshman. That's going to surprise a lot of people, I think, next year. That's going to be the name of Craig Dandridge. Remember who told y'all now. Remember who told y'all. All right, y'all. So last one, obviously, for the day, we'll talk about before we wrap up the show. Like I said, I'm not going to keep too long because I got to get to the game. We're going to talk about what college football alerts had. They said college football, most important non-conference games of 2026 college football season. All right. Excuse me. So their list. This is their list, y'all. Louisville versus Ole Miss. They had Ohio State versus Texas. Oklahoma at Michigan. Notre Dame at BYU. That's a pretty good one. Miami at Notre Dame. That's a pretty good one as well. Later in the season, not at the beginning of the season. SMU at Notre Dame, right? Now, obviously, that's a pretty good slate. I do think they missed out on some of the games. You got to still put Clemson, LSU in there. Say what you want. A lot of people are sleeping on Clemson because obviously They didn't have a good year last year. They went 7-6. They're expected to be in the national championship game. Clemson's still going to be, I think, a really good team. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to have the same level of talent, but I think they're going to be a team that when you sleep on them, they really come around to surprise you. And I think Clemson, I ain't saying they're going to win the ACC. I ain't saying they're going to be an elite opponent, but I still think that Clemson at Death Valley at LSU is going to be good. That's the opener pretty much for Lane Kiffin, I believe it is. If they don't play in the opener, they play at some point in the season. So whenever they play, that's going to be a game to watch because you get to see Lane Kiffin going up against Dabo Swinney. That's an elite coaching matchup. Why would you not want to see that if you are a college football fan? So for me, you got to put that one in there. The next one I'm going to put in there, I'm going to go Georgia Tech, Tennessee. Say what you want. These were old-time rivals, right? They used to play a lot back in the day. They renewing their rivalry with that home-and-home series. They'll be at Knoxville next year in Tennessee. That's going to be such a great game, right? Tennessee has so much talent. Deshaun Bishop. Look at the wide receiving core with Braylon Staley. You look at, obviously, Travis Smith Jr. You got the five-star coming in, from Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Tristan Keys, Mike Matthews, like talent all over the field for them, right? And then defensively, when they got Chaz Coleman from Penn State, new defensive coordinator. We'll see what happens with the quarterback situation, right? Still kind of a TBD. But this is a team you're going to have to watch out for next year with Tennessee. They won 8 games last year. I know they lost a lot of the games down the stretch, but they won 8 games and went 8-5. So you got to put some respect on Tennessee, right? And they're a brand in college football, so they're always going to be talked about. And then Georgia Tech's kind of rising back to that. I don't want to say relevance, but rising back to that national spotlight. They had the second most viewership last year in the ACC behind national champion runner-up Miami. That says a lot, right? Will it be the same this year? I don't know, but they definitely have the spotlight of the nation. You know what I'm saying? We bring in guys like Jalen Mbakwe, right? Former 5-star prospect from Clay Chalkfield. He comes over playing cornerback. Looks like he's going to play both positions, cornerback, and he's going to play obviously wide receiver. You have him in the fold. Throwing, obviously, Justice Haynes. He's going to help out a lot. NFL talent, caliber running back. He's coming into the fold. Alberto Mendoza. He looks like he's going to probably be your starter going forward. Noah Carter from Alabama. He's expected to be that game record for you this year. So this game, to me, it'll be a shame if it ain't put in that window of 3:30 or it's not put in that window of prime time. Too damn good of a game to not have it in that spotlight. And to me, that feels like that could be a big non-conference game, especially if Tennessee's on that trajectory and they win 10 plus games this year. Won't be easy because the SEC is moving to a 9-game schedule, but at the same time, this is a game you have to want to see. You have to want to watch because it's two elite opponents going head to head, neck and neck. That right there is going to be fireworks to me. You know what I'm saying? And two teams that are obviously ascending. Nobody thought Tennessee was going to be this good this past year. They thought Tennessee was going to be in the gutter. Tennessee still was able to win 8 games this past year. Georgia Tech was a team, took that step forward and won 9 games this past year. Could have damn near won 10 if they beat BYU, who they had on the ropes. So both two really good teams, game 2 of the year. That feels like that's going to be an elite game, in my opinion. So that's another one I will put up there in terms of a great non-conference game that everybody should obviously want to see. Next up, I'm going to throw Florida State. Say what you want. I know Florida State didn't have the best year. They started off good with the win against Alabama and kind of tapered off, went 5-0, 6-0, and then tapered off a little bit. I know the team is in debt. I know the team's struggling in the athletic department. But still, you never can count that game out. And Florida looks like it's going to be at least an interesting team in 2026. Say what you want, but John Sumrall is implementing the right stuff in order to be successful. And I think he's going to have a really good season with this program, obviously, in 2026. So that Florida State-Florida game is going to be another one you got to watch for. I'm going to throw in one more, Ole Miss and Louisville. Louisville, we talked about, obviously, on the channel. That's a team that did pretty good in the portal, continuing to build. We know their identity. Can they finally get a quarterback? And Ole Miss, whether Trinidad Chalmers comes back or not, they're returning a lot of pieces from their most historic year in their program history. So they should be right back into the fold, and it's a neutral site game to begin the season. That is one obviously you want to watch, and obviously you want to see next year. But obviously that's the one they mentioned as well. But I'm excited for that one. That should be a really good, obviously, non-conference game. But there's so many you can go from. The ones they picked were pretty good. Ohio State, Texas, but Clemson, LSU, you forget. Georgia Tech, Tennessee. Them is games obviously you should mention. Georgia Tech, Georgia is another one I will put in there as well, non-conference game. The last 2 years, they've ended in one-score games. 2 points in 2024, 7 points in 2025. So those two have been going neck and neck. I know Georgia's won the last 7 to 8 matchups, but those two teams obviously have a good feel for each other. The physicality, both teams are playing pretty tough. I won't say the rivalry's renewed just yet, but Georgia Tech is playing a lot better in those games than they were in years past. So that's another one I would throw out there in terms of rivalry week as well, a top non-conference game. All right. So there y'all have it, man. That's going to do it for today's show, The Truth with Najeh Wilkins. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to try to get this one up while obviously the game is going on, man. So you guys can check this out. I know it's a little bit of a different feel with obviously me being in the background and obviously in my car. But hey, sometimes desperate things call for different measures. All right. But appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Y'all know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Y'all follow me on all my social media at najehwilk, NAJEHWILK. Any content y'all want to see, please don't hesitate to let me know, man. I would love to engage with you guys more. Please support the channel. I'm trying to do my own thing, man. Any of you guys' support would go a long way, man. Y'all are running up the YouTube over 2,100 subscribers. Let's get it up, man. Let's try to get at least about 5,000 before the spring ends, man. Yes, but right before in 2 months, spring officially ends in terms of spring practice, spring game. Let's try to get to 5,000, man. Any other content y'all want to see, y'all boys know to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. We out. Peace.